Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sathology Debunking Mythology. We have very special guest. You have loved her videos, you have loved her conversations, and the depth of the knowledge. In fact, the last presentation she did was phenomenal when she put the entire age of the Vedic history from the perspective of stars. And what do they teach us? And there are many complex topics. Sometimes the Western audience may not understand these terms, but this presentation will make you understand that. So, without delay, let us welcome Sri Rupa Bhati. So, namaskar.
Namaste Aditi ji. Namaste Aditi ji. Namaste Satology team.
So, thank you so much for coming and sharing your
Thank you for
knowledge.
inviting me. Thank you
So,
for
very
inviting me.
grateful. Very
Thank
grateful that you come and share, take out your valuable time and you make those presentations. I think they're burning the Twitter right now.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Especially that one slide of yours, the detailed one, the last slide which you showed last time, and it has really caught on very well on the Twitter, right?
जी, जी,
Yeah.
जी, बिल्कुल.
So today we are covering the Arundhati. Why? You're saying the why Arundhati is always seen with Vashishta.
विशिष्ट
And
है. Yeah,
what does it, Nyaya means, what does it convey
yeah,
in every situation? Huh?
yeah.
So, so viewers, this is a presentation which will help us to accurately understand the purpose of each and every movement of stars and why it is following or why it is before. The logic has been discussed a lot in the Indian circles, but sometimes in the Western audience we do not look at it. We like to see different type of stars, but sometimes for more academic or more spiritual oriented people, stars convey a message, and many of the Earth's happenings or the events on the Earth can be tied to the sun, to the movement of stars. Many
Yeah.
months back, a very famous astrology person from UK had showed that the events on Earth, how they correlate to the movement of stars. So today we have Rupa Bhatti ji putting some more light on that. So
जी.
so let's get started, Rupa ji. So
नमस्ते.
what do
जी.
you think? First of all, just tell the audience of what is Arundhati and what is Vashishta. I know they're great sages,
जी.
and how does their dangle in the star affects people on Earth?
Definitely. Um, Actually, most of the stars on the sky uh, have some impact psychologically on us, and some of the lores get attached to these stars, and similarly Arundhati's birth and Vashishta and Agastya's birth are mentioned in many scriptures. So, very ancient scripture where we find that in Rig Veda, we find Vasishtha and Agastya are being born together of the Kumbha. But somehow in Rig Veda, you won't find Arundhati. So, Kalantar mein, after some time lapse, it appears that after evaluation of all the texts, I find that it appears that there was a need of Arundhati. There was suddenly a need of Arundhati star. And why this would happen, I will throw a partial light on that today through Arundhati Darshana Nyaya maxim. So, what is maxim? Actually, maxim infers the unknown from which is known. The Arundhati Darshana Nyaya, this maxim, Sanskrit maxim, infers the unknown from that which is known. तो हमको कुछ known से हमको एक unknown चीज को ढूंढना है. So that way this maxim came up, and in the Ashwalyan Griha Sutra and other sutras also, you find that during the marriage uh, happening, the couple are needed to see towards the Vashisht
Mm.
and then Arundhati, and her chastity kind of stories which are going on, that has to be imbibed by the bride and groom together, like Vashisht and Arundhati.
Mm.
So this way, this maxim gives us that still these two, the bride and groom, have to go outside, and then they have to visualize the Arundhati and Vashishta together. And after Arundhati's visualization, they have to locate the pole star. So,
So one important thing I can gain from your conversation talk right now is that
mm,
chastity is important for both husband and wife, not just
definitely,
one.
not just one. So somehow, since this was necessary exercise during the marriage, this became very important astronomically. In fact, तो पहले क्या होता था? We didn't have compass,
Mm.
so we needed to know the north direction. So finally, when the bride and groom gets married, this is again made them visualize to make them visualize the north, and to show Arundhati deliberately that that has to be the ideal ideal should be imbibed in the any marriage, and then you have to locate the pole star. So this was to give a correct direction in life also, in philosophical sense, in the rita, in the kind of satya to imbibe in the life, and also to have the astronomical direction. So main focus was astronomical direction, but also the philosophies got attached to it. And this way, Arundhati Darshana Nyaya came in.
Mm.
But why Arundhati Darshana Nyaya? Because if you see all the Manvantars, there are always different kind of Saptarishis are mentioned with different names. If you look into different Manvantars, there Arundhati is never mentioned with them. So there was a sudden change coming in astronomy, and Arundhati is now getting introduced. So
Mm.
in the whole Rigved, you won't find Arundhati, but you will find Arundhati as a medicinal vine plant in Atharva Veda.
Mm.
So now in Atharva Veda, introduction has been done by Arundhati. And you will be amazed. Sayanacharya says Arundhati as a Sahaya Devi. And in Ptolemaic star chart, uh, Arundhati is mentioned as Soha.
Mm.
So Sahaya Devi and Soha, we can very well connect the phonetic semblance, and that is how it comes from star Arabic star
Yeah,
catalog.
we can,
And
you can share the slides also now.
yeah, sure,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, please.
So this was just giving an idea that how Al Khawar, the faint one, is remembered. So she's one of the most faint one in the Saptarishi. She is very much visible, but in all the Manvantas, she was not needed. Only why this was needed, we will see in today's talk.
Mm. Please.
So I'll just share the slide.
So for the viewers, one of the things which the Western viewers or Western society ignores or focuses on sending rockets up in the sky, but there's a purpose of these stars and why they are there. Like in Mahabharat, it is mentioned that these stars are the residences of great people or great souls.
Yeah.
Now, in the Western society, we see them as stars and we want to land over there. And I'm not against all those attempts because I am getting wonderful internet speed because of those satellites. But I have a problem is that nobody likes anyone to gate crash somebody else's party. So so there is a way to approach these stars and with prayers and with meditation, and gate crashing is not often necessary. So with that point of view, you can see her wonderful presentation. So my one question to you is that why it is mentioned nyaya? What is the meaning of nyaya?
Uh, this is a kind of let us take Arundhati Darshana Nyaya for instance, or let me take one more example, Ghata Pradipika Nyaya.
Hmm.
So in Ghata Pradipika Nyaya, what happens is when you have uh, light uh, inside the ghata,
Hmm.
that will only illumine the ghata inside only.
Hmm.
So other things are not visible outside. So that nyay,
It's a
in the
logic.
sense,
Then
it's
logic.
a logic. It's a
Logic.
logic, definitely.
Yeah.
So by the help of logic, you need to find something. So
Yes.
something unknown. So
Arundhati
we are,
Darshana Nyaya.
Anji. So why Arundhati Darshan and Nyaya became important, and when it got introduced, we will have a little idea from today's talk.
All right. Thank you.
And secondly, there is a mention of Rishinam Arundhati in Taittiriya Aranyaka.
Hmm.
So we will see that how Maxim does a nyay to Taittiriya Aranyaka's Rishinam Arundhati. Rishinam Arundhati would mean ऋषियों की अरुंधति.
Hmm.
ऋषि की अरुंधति नहीं, ऋषियों की अरुंधति. That means she is now in with the group of these seven stars. जो कि मनवंतर में different times में it were only seven stars. Now this eighth one is introduced. But it is called Saptarishi only. But Arundhati is also introduced by Vyasa, because Taittiriya Aranyaka has been edited by Vyasaji, and who has written, who has composed Mahabharata also. And he's mentioned there as a Parashar's son in Taittiriya Aranyaka. And he is now doing editings in Taittiriya Aranyaka, and he now introduces the Rishinam Arundhati. So we need to understand the word rishi also. In the astronomical context, rishi means different, and why these are named as सप्तऋषि. Why दूसरे stars को ऋषिस क्यों नहीं बोल रहे हैं? Only why सप्तऋषि is so important, है ना? तो the astronomical association of the word ऋषि with astronomy, मतलब ये हम थोड़ा सा इसमें समझने के, we will try to understand today. So I'll go ahead with this. Uh,
Yes, please.
we would like to today understand the need of न्याय. एक तो पहला why that was needed, and what is the hidden concept in this लौकिक न्याय. What can be known or justified from Arundhati Darshana, and the deeper meaning of Rishinam Arundhati from Taittiriya Aranyaka. So wherever we find all these Arundhati names, we need to understand why they are present there and what kind of a logic was there for her presence in every scripture. So Apte, one of the best lexicographers uh, during the late 18th century, early 19th century, he says, though a woman, she was regarded with the same, even more veneration as the Saptarishis. And there is a shloka given from some text, and he has said that, see for this one, tam gaurava bheden munishcha pashyadishwara स्त्री पुमाने त्यनास्थैषा वृत्तम ही महितम satam. So he is eulogizing Arundhati in a great way, and he says that even she is more venerated. She gets more veneration as the Saptarishi. Uh, Other way we find Arundhati, medicinal climbing plant in Atharva Ved, and as I mentioned, she is not mentioned in Rig Veda. In Ashwala and Griha Sutra, the little and scarcely visible star Alkor. Alkor is the name of Arundhati. Mizar is the name of Vashishta in the Saptarishi. Uh, and the so-called seven rishis के साथ में है, and at marriage ceremonies Arundhati is invoked as a pattern of conjugal excellence by the bridegroom. Arundhati comes from negation of Rudh dhatu, from Rudh dhatu. Rudh means to confine or अवरोध करना, यानी रुध्यति. who does not, now because of a, that is near upasarga, who does not confine or hinder good works. So she's like always, uh, we have to keep it in mind that Arundhati's presence when it comes in all the texts, she is not going to hinder any good work. ना? तो उनके साथ में मेरे ख्याल से बहुत निमित्त के नाम से भी बहुत जोड़ देते पीपल अटैच निमित्त दैट she was having a kind of a bad omen during the Mahabharata times, but we will leave it aside. First, we will understand what Arundhati actually is. And Arundhati Darshana Nyaya says, Yaha Arundhati Namakam Tarakam Pradarshayitum Ichchati Saha Purvam Arundhatya Samipastha Samipastham Sthulam Amukhya Tarakam Nirdishati Paschat Arundhatim Grahayati. एवं सदा यदा सूक्ष्मः पदार्थः स्थूलेन पदार्थेन निर्दिश्यते तदा एष न्यायः प्रयुज्यते. इसका ये मतलब है कि at any point of time when you watch Arundhati with the help of Vashisht first, whatever the kind of sukshma tara are all visible around the Arundhati can be visualized because she is used as a eye testing. When you look at the sky, you will find so many kinds of stars. Some have greater magnitudes, तारे ज़्यादा टिमटिमा रहे हैं. Some have very less, very minute magnitude, and very faintly they are visible. So there are all kinds of stars in the sky, but Arundhati is used to find out the pole star and what kind of nyaya she does with the pole star. That is all the story is about. Now there is a very interesting name of Vashishta. वशिष्ठ का एक और नाम है. There is one more, Arundhati Jani. So this is a name of Vashishta also, one of the names, because our rishis have many names, no? Synonymical, like Agastya's Man also, Mandarya also. So they have all their works associated with, so the names also they get these kind of names also. So Arundhati Jani is the pair or husband of Arundhati who knew or found out something. So this is Janati means to know and to find out. So here you see the Saptarishi. There are all stars, names are mentioned here, and in the red circle you will see the Alkor and Miser together. So this is Vashishta, and little bit above of Vashishta you can see Arundhati. It is not visible much here because it is a faint star. So both the stars are visible in this portion. Every star has its magnitude and size, as I said. And to determine that magnitude for the eye testing, always Arundhati is used. So ये एक काल की बात नहीं है. Every time pole stars are changing, so Arundhati Vashisht will remain that only, but the pole star will always change. So we will see how it is going to change and affect the human psyche कि वो आकाश में कैसा दिखता है. So it is very difficult ना. नॉर्थ के साइड में आप देखेंगे तो अभी बहुत फेंट पोल स्टार है. There is a very faint pole star is there, Polaris, and from Polaris you can see Saptarishi also. So Saptarishis are actually pointing to Polaris. So I will show. Yeah. So here you see the Saptarishi in this portion, and this is Polaris in today's time, and this is a star trailing one picture I have taken so that you understand how these stars appear. अगर आप इसको बहुत फास्ट मोशन में चला देंगे तो ये स्टार ट्रेल्स दिख रहे हैं. इन्हीं के ट्रेल्स दिख रहे हैं फास्ट मोशन में, एंड इट गोज एंटी क्लॉकवाइज. तो आप देखेंगे कि सिग्नस है शिशुमार है, थुबान इज ऑन द शिशुमार ओनली. Saptarishi is there, which is a Riksha, and Riksha is mentioned in Rig Veda. So Saptarishi also is mentioned in Rig Veda in the very later mandalas. So before that it was Riksha. And you will be amazed that the Greek star catalog has Riksha, that is a Big Dipper. सो सप्तऋषि को हम वहाँ पे टोलेमिक स्टार कैटलॉग में बिग डिपर बोलते हैं, एंड दिस वन इज अ स्मॉल डिपर. एंड इन वन ऑफ माय ब्लॉग्स आई हैव रिटन आरक्ष. आरक्ष is a rickshaws elongation, so that is Araksha. But this is uh, in today's time we have forgotten the Rigvedic name. Araksha was one more king. So Riksha ka beta Araksha. Uh, Now these names get attached to the stars. So you can imagine that in today's time, Rigved is not written. So Araksha जो है वो कितना पुराना हो सकता है ना? Almost 26,000 years back, if you go, then only you will find this as a Araksha. In between, it got a different names also. Uh, so we find Origa and everything. Likewise, वी फाइंड वेगा. आप देख रहे होंगे यहाँ पे कॉर्नर में वेगा दिख रहा है. दिस इज अ ब्रह्म राशि. सो दिस इज अ फेमस ब्रह्म राशि विशुद्धश्च शुद्धाश्च परमश. So all these stars, if you see, sizes are different and their magnitude is different. Their shining capacity is different. So what is happening actually, मतलब ये जो stars आपको जो दिख रहे हैं, today's pole star यहाँ पे जो देख रहे हैं, so what exactly happens there? So we'll just see. So these stars are present all around the North Celestial Pole's imaginary circle. And in today's time, Polaris is here, and you can see in 12,000 BC, Vega Abhijit was the pole star. The conditions change. As a pole star, Vega was in this position. Saptarishi was little away from Vega. Now you see, in today's time, the perihelion at winters has come nearer to the sun. So in our times, the sun is nearer during the winters, but it doesn't give us a harsh winters. In fact, because of this, we have amiable winters. And all the pole stars you can see in the upper portion. Now, in today's time, अब आप देख रहे हैं कि सप्तऋषि जो है वो नीचे की तरफ आ गए हैं. Again, going back to 11,000 BC, you will see that Saptarishi has gone little further. वो थोड़ा दूर चला गए हैं. You come to 8,000 BC during the Tau Hercules times. That time you see that Saptarishi is not coming nearer. You come to 7,400 BC during the Hercules time only. These are very faint stars and not much visible from naked eye, but due to the Arundhati lying besides the Vashisht, it gives us an idea that where the pole star should be. During this time, there was no pole star in between, like from 7,000 BC to 3,000 BC. और आप देखेंगे कि आप एक ही जगह खड़े हैं, आपका एक लकड़ी का पोस्ट आपने खड़ा कर दिया है. यू विल सी दैट एवरी 2,000 years of lapse of time, you will see that the same stars appear in a little different manner because of the pole point is there, but the stars at the pole point coming due to the axial precession is changing. तो आप वहीं पे खड़े हैं and you are visualizing this form. Now during the 11,000 BCE, something very interesting starts happening from this point. आप एक लाइन ड्रॉ करेंगे पोस्ट के ऊपर से. अगर लकड़ी का एक पोस्ट है, वहां से आप एक लाइन ड्रॉ करेंगे सप्तऋषि तक. तो वशिष्ठ को जब क्रॉस कर रहा है येलो लाइन, यू विल सी दैट द अरुंधति इज अहेड ऑफ वशिष्ठ. So this is what AV observation tells us about. But because of this, you can see that this yellow line is pointing to the pole point, and from this pole point, Vega has gone little away. So Vega was pole star during 12,000 BC, but during 11,000 BC, it has now shifted towards the negative side, and plus x and plus y axis, and minus x and minus y axis. So yeah, you can see that Vega is now little uh, away from this. Now, during the whole night, this trail takes place. No? Saptarishi Uga, and after 2 hours, you will see that it has moved little up. And every time you will see that Arundhati is always ahead of Vashishta, and she is pointing towards the pole point. So this was the observation used to be done by the bridegroom to locate the pole point. Now there is no pole star near pole point, but this was the maxim used for the darshana. Now you see after 2 hours it has moved more, but every time you will see that this Arundhati is always ahead of Vashisht during 11,000 BC. थोड़ा सा और आगे बढ़े, 2 hours, again the same thing will happen, and she's always ahead of in this इस काल में, in this time 11,000 BC, and you will see that she is crossing the meridian first. So this is all about the Arundhati Vashishta observation. And because of this observation, we can see that Maxim is also working. So Arundhati is being used for visualization of pole point. Now there is no pole star there exactly, but for good reason, Vega was used as a North Pole star during these times, from 13,000 to 11,000 BC.
So in the Vedic scriptures, it is written that Dhruv Tara is always stable, constant. So based
Hmm.
on your explanation today, there can be different Dhruv Tara based on the different
There,
period.
different Dhruva taras. So you can see here, Vega is a star. I will just show you. So here Vega is a star. Once it was a pole star. Then Tau Hercules was a pole star. Then there was no pole star between A and B because Tau Hercules has a very faint magnitude. So we cannot assume it as a very distinctive pole star. Until A to B, you will find there were no pole stars. So Arundhati, uh, in my conjecture, uh, here was the time when the Arundhati was felt. Arundhati Darshana Nyaya was felt. Because before that, Arundhati is not mentioned in Rigveda and anywhere else. So suddenly she only appears in Taitya Aranyaka. So here, when we draw a yellow line in this fashion, so this whole point where 1100K, 900K, 800K, all these points where the pole points were. So every time there will be a pole point, and it will be shifting in a very slow motion. It it has a connotation of Mandarya, Man and Mandarya for Agastya also. And Agastya Nagachati iti Agaha and Sthayati iti Agastya. So the etymology of Agastya itself is a pole star, but it is for the southern pole star because that was such a discrete star. Nobody forgot that because of all the latitudes mentioned in our country. That everyone remembered the pole star to be southern pole star. But the Agastya word can be applicable for northern pole star also, but it is not mentioned as a northern pole star. So we see that A to B, there are many pole points will come for 11,000 to almost 4,500 or 3,000 BC. There will be no pole star, and Arundhati is always going to be visualized by people as Griha Sutra says to find out the star. अब ये पूरे काल में हम अरुंधति को देखते हैं फॉर ऑल दीज 6,000 years from 11 to 3. We are trying to locate. We are trying to locate a pole star, but pole star is not there. So there was a problem of visualizing pole star with the very least magnitude test with the help of faint star Arundhati. There was no pole star there. So that is why she gained more importance. And as you see, when you go to 11,000 BCE and when you go to 10,000 BCE, 9,000 BCE, you see a pattern that Saptarishi is coming nearer. So this is how it will appear. And every time she is always ahead of Vashisht. Only when it crosses 4,000 BCE, 4,600 BC, when she crosses, when our actual precision crosses this time, you will see that Arundhati जो है वो पीछे चली गई. During the Thuban time, now Arundhati is behind Vashisht. आप येलो लाइन के नीचे चली गई हैं और in this way it has been assumed. So this was the condition. During this time, Arundhati was pulling. So Arundhati was appearing like she's pulling all the pole points, but there is no pole star. But she's appearing like she's pulling these pole points towards her. So there was a um, mm, kind of assignment to her that now she's pulling. Before the Saptarishis pull, before that only she's pulling. In fact, so we see how she uh, moves. So there is a relation between word rishi and Saptarishi and pole point. Why this rishi word comes into picture? So we'll see. During the Thuban times, that is 29,000 BC, we will come from back time to our times. This is the pole star Thuban and Saptarishi. They were the most nearest during that time. During the Polaris time, that is today's time also, in 24,000 BC, Saptarishi थोड़ा दूर हो गए pole point से. During Cephas, 22,000 BC, थोड़ा और दूर हो गए. So Saptarishi is going away from the pole point. It has gone much away. अब ये रात को तो वैसे ही उगेंगे anti-clockwise, but बहुत दूर से उगेंगे. So its declination has changed during that time, and right ascension has changed during that time. थोड़ा सा और दूर चले गए 18,000 BC. It goes more away from Saptarishi. The pole point goes more away. थोड़ा सा और दूर चले गए. अब वो पास आना शुरू हो गए. Now
Does
they're
this
coming.
movement has impact on events on Earth?
Not these movements. Star movements doesn't have any impact on Earth, but ephelion, perihelion, and other conditions will always have effects on Earth. लेकिन जब मैं फलित ज्योतिष पढ़ती थी, when I used to read the astrology part, it appears to me that certain latitudes have different impacts on human behavior, psyche, and everything. So I cannot say that they don't have any. Means I cannot rule out whether they have some impact on us or not, but definitely there is something which we don't know. So
Like
Parashar in Brihad Parashar Hora Shastra, he has given very minute details about that, all
like
the longitudes.
major happenings on Earth, like Ramayana, Mahabharata, or major wars. Does these movements have any like the same formation is seen at whenever there is a crisis on Earth, like that? Adharma is high.
Not exactly with the stars, But definitely with different times, due to the orbit change of the Earth and Sun, when the Earth's orbit was more circular, the things were very uh, simpler, in fact, since it was a 360-degree. Now it is little elliptical, so the impact is different. And definitely when the season patterns change, it has a great effect on the vegetation on the earth as well as the human psyche. So the development of humans definitely are affected by these cosmological as well as I should say the solar planetorial system. So whatever the changes are like, these planets will have more effects on us when they come nearer and go further and they make some kind of a position. But these nakshatras, they were read by, I think, Ravana. He has this nakshatra based, that is longitudinal based Falita Jyotisha, Ravana Samhita, we say. So he has not taken into account about these planets, but he says, he had said that all these nakshatras are more important. These stars are more important. They have a different impact on us, and also on the earthly situations, because there are meteorical showers and other things uh, happening. So there must be some kind of different kind of energies they must be expelling on the earth, and it might have some kind of impact. Definitely different times had different impacts, as we saw, if you remember, uh, during the Brihadratha time, as I said that Yadu's that context will come here also during 12,000 BC. Now you see the Ramayana and you don't find Yadava there. There are no Yadavas. Yadu is not there. And in the last session, we had Brihadratha king, and I quoted two of the mantras from Rig Veda, where it is saying that he is constantly fighting or resisting Turvashus, Yadus, Anudruyus, and he is constantly fighting with them. So if you see the pattern, you will see the pattern also here with the name Hercules. I believe that Hercules is nothing but Heracles and what Aryan and what Aryan and Alexander remembered about India. And when they came here and they saw the Puru ka jab unhone when they saw the Ratha, I think elephant, yeah. And he saw Sri Krishna's emblem there. And he said, oh, the Heracle is here also. We have our Heracles, similar deity in Greek culture. So it appears that during the Ramayana times and post Ramayana times, there was a constant kind of resistance which was already posed by Brihadratha, who was Ikshvaku king, who was resisting Yadus and Druyus and Anus during his time also, uh, which got fainted post Rama. And suddenly we see that Yadavas now are main protagonist in Mahabharata. So there is a transition of time also, you see. You can see the same transition in Surya Siddhanta also. You see Rohitaka. Kurukshetra is mentioned as Rohitaka, and Rohita is Ikshvaku king. But Kurukshetra is not mentioned in Surya Siddhanta. So by the time when I wrote this Surya Siddhanta paper, that time I had this in my mind that Kurus were not there present there during the Surya Siddhanta when the Surya Siddhanta was written when the Mayasur was given Surya Siddhanta. So you will see that pattern changing now. Post Ramayana, now you will see that Yadus are appearing and Yadavas are appearing. The Vrishni clan is appearing now in the narratives, and which were constantly resisted by the Ikshvaku kings before before this time. And that is what you can see in here with the name of Hercules. So it appears to me that it is Harikula, not Hercules, but that has gone to the western side, and it became a new story there. So this is how the stories travel or the memories travel. People from the Yadav clan must have traveled to Greeks, and Greeks were known to Mahabharata people as Ionians, Yona people. So this also has an impact of when this event could have happened. That is the Yadus coming in the from the northwest towards the India, how they came till Mathura, and how Kunti is also a Yadava.
Yeah,
She's also
Prabhupada mentions Greeks as Pulinda in
Pulinda. It can be
and Germans as
definitely.
Huna
Germans are okay. This is new for me.
and Chinese as Khasa,
Khasa. Okay. Okay.
Khasa tribe, Khasa tribe.
Khasa. Khasa tribe.
Yeah.
Very
And
nice.
and when Mithili takes Arjun to Swargloka, he passes through many of these constellations and he mentions all the different stars. And then Mithili tells Arjun that these are the places of residence of great sages and sadhus who have been given these. So these are what, according to Mahabharata, it is the places of residences.
Definitely, and it is logical also because this keeps the time. Like I said, Harikula. So when the Vrishnis appeared, so someone who Vasu, yeah, Punarvasu. So all those Vasus, then these names appear with some kind of a constellation that gives an idea that at that time these people were there on Earth. So these those times get attached to those stars, and definitely they becomes the residents of that. Something very similar to Trishanku also. The Cygnus star which you saw is known as Trishanku, and similar Southern Cross is also can also be named Trishanku, which is upside down in the southern hemisphere. So during the 10,000 BC, that is the Hercules, Tau Hercules, which is a very faint star. And as we come towards 8K, the Saptarishis come nearer and they're coming more nearer. And during 4800 BC, it has come very, very nearer to the pole point. Now, सप्तऋषि जो उग रहे हैं और डूब रहे हैं, तो अगर वहाँ पे पोल स्टार नहीं भी है, so we can get the direction towards north. So Saptarishis were actually now have become or got an assignment of pole star only. मतलब इतना पास में आ गए. So it's not necessary that if there is no star, still this can poise you towards the northern direction. And similarly, now the yellow line goes ahead, and now Arundhati is behind. So जब अब ये उगेंगे और डूबेंगे, तो it will be always behind. But you see the passion, the connection between Saptarishi and the pole star. Now there is a constant elasticity kind of a thing now you are seeing. So why this is happening? This is what we say Rishi Rashmaya. So Nirukta has given what is Rishi? Rishi is like Rajju. It is like a rope which is pulling. So even the rishis, when they are in front of us, and we all sit, all the pupils will sit by the rishis. The whole concentration is on the rishi. So everybody's rope is with the rishi only, the saint only, and he's pulling everyone's attention towards him. So that is why the physical rishi or the sapta rishis are named in that fashion, because the rishi is Rishi Rashmayaha, and that Rashmayaha, Rashmi means Rassi Raju. So every time you see now, the question arises that at what point of time these stars got this name, because this is a very prominent star. Saptarishis are very prominent, and when the first human psyche must have understood about the sky, and when they were visualizing, so the three-belt star of Mriga Shirsha and this star and the Leo star, these were very prominent kind of figures appearing to them, and that is why they named it Saptarishi, because every time it was directing us towards the pole. So Saptarishi's major working is, or major assignment is, or major what you can say work is, to see the pole star, to visualize the pole star of the north. सो नॉर्थ पोल स्टार को देखने के लिए सप्तऋषि की हर काल में जरूरत रही. एट एवरी ड्यूरिंग ऑल 26,000 years you need Saptarishi to locate the pole star. But incidentally, during 11,000 BC to 3,000 BC, when there was no pole star, that time Arundhati became more important, and it was not visualized, and that is why she gained more importance during that time. So this is what Saptarishi, which is found in Indic scriptures. This is a big constellation. So we also got through Rishi Darshanat, अर्थात जो सूक्ष्मदर्शी होता है, खेदय किरणा गावः सप्तऋषयः इति रश्मि नामानि. So this comes from first प्रथमोध्याय निघंटुके. So they are basically puller and expeller. मतलब वो ढीला भी छोड़ रहे हैं, pull भी कर रहे हैं. So every time there is a kind of a rassi which is like pulling, and you have to see like it is going from the post, it is going from the left side, it is going, and it is anti-clockwise, it is moving. So every time within 2 hours you will get the time also. So they had a sense of time with the help of Saptarishi during the night cycle. When it is in north east, when it is crossing the meridian, when it is along the side of northwest. So in this way, a night clock is found with the help of Saptarishis. So this is how we get the Rishi suffix understood in the astronomy phenomenon. ये ऋषि क्यों है, ये मेरे ख्याल से अब समझ में आता है कि ये सप्तऋषि ही नाम क्यों है. Other stars, why didn't they get this name? Because this was a quite prominent star which was easy to visualize, and आप रात में देखेंगे तो क्वेश्चन मार्क जैसा दिखाई देता. From there, if you locate, you can always locate a pole star of any काल in 26,000 years.
And these are visible across the earth, like any part of the earth you can see them.
Any part of the earth, any part in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, it will become a little difficult, but in the northern hemisphere, it is always visible.
Yeah.
And the whole concept of Vedic land was of northern hemisphere only. We have some hints of southern hemisphere also, but it will come in my book, The Agastya Code, and I will be decoding some few things from what is coming from the southern hemisphere also to us. Some great knowledge is coming from. So it was like pan-India culture, but mostly the people were living by the riverside. There were much more rivers in the northern area during that time. So it was more habitable. So people were residing in those areas, and those areas were dominated by Ikshvakus. So the whole Rigveda is about Ikshvaku kings. Even Nahusha and Yayati, which is taken by Kurus also as one of their lineage, but it is Ikshvaku only. In Ramayana, it is said that they were Ikshvaku Vanshajas.
Yeah, actually, the both the Ramayana and Mahabharata have continuity. They're both connected.
Connected, yes.
Because Ramayana, even though it may be history before Mahabharata, but still the history is connected. So when the lineage is shown, it is shown of the right from Brahma down. So it still crosses the Ramayana and it comes down. So you'll find the similar references in Mahabharata and similar references in Ramayana, which also shows that the Shruti is continuing.
Shruti
is not broken. So it's sometimes the Western academics, they divide the Vedic time and the Rig Vedic time from a separate time. But Rig, Yajur, Atharva, and Samveda were divided by Vyasdev or expanded by Vyasdev. Earlier, it was just one Veda. So that's a continuity there. So if readers find the same characters in Mahabharata again, that means it's a double assurance that has continued.
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल.
But thank you very much for the time today. And I think we have a next topic lined up already based on your presentation.
Okay, so we will take it in the next part.
Next, look.
Arundhati part 2 we will have to take, because
Yeah.
there are much more to understand through this
Yeah.
maxim.
Yes. And one last question came from the audience was wow. And
Okay,
I
thank
took
you.
it as a question and a compliment too. That what a wonderful, detailed presentation on the movement of stars. Because most of the Western academics and professors, they don't study these things, and the primary reason is because their religious minds take over the intellectual minds. And whenever you construct yourself from the religious point of view, especially from Abrahamic faith point of view, you cannot fathom the depth of the Vedic literatures and how does it impact on the human historical events on our planet. So, and also it becomes very regional because it just focuses on uh, the myopic world. And when we talk about science, you have to keep your myopia separate away from you because you have to think openly.
बिल्कुल जी.
So that actually comment answers many of the questions that some people have. Thank you, Rupaji. Any last words you want to conclude by saying what you wanted to convey in today's presentation?
Can I go to the last slide then?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just share this. So we just saw all these connections, how they are going ahead and how they are setting. She was always ahead, and till 4,800 she was going ahead of Vashishta. This is just a star phenomena, and you can see during 4,800 BC, this has come more nearer to the pole point. बहुत ज़्यादा पास में आ गए हैं. You can see how she is rising and setting. So you can see when it was happening and why this Lokik Nyaya was needed. And Tattari Aranyaka's Rishina Marundati. Now she gets the designation of Rishi. So you see in Tattari Aranyaka, with everyone, now in the last, she is Rishina Marundati is mentioned. In, है ना? So this is very important to understand. So I will just conclude this. So we will not have to go to the next, I think. So why this Nyaya was needed? This was needed to find the unknown with the help of known. So we understood why she was needed. That to locate and know the North Pole star in regard of its magnitude and position. And what is the hidden concept of this Lokiknya? There is more to the magnitude and brightness of faint pole star to collate with the help of sighting of Arundhati. With the help of Taittiriya Brahmana Rishina Arundhati and Nirukta Rishi Rashmayaha, we find that once Arundhati was given a status of Rishi. So one has to understand that astronomical Rishi is different from the physical Rishi, but she was given that status. And you can see that 7 Rishis once offered her an honorable seat. You can see in Vanaparva, chapter 226, verse 8. And once all the Devas eulogized Arundhati and Brahma blessed her. It is also mentioned in Anushasana Parva, verse 12 and 13 of chapter 130. So, what can be known or justified from Arundhati Darshana? So, the magnitude of the pole star, position of the pole point during the 11,000 to 3,000 BC. In between, Arundhati's magnitude helped finding the faintest pole star of Tau Hercules during 8 to 7,000 BC. During these times when pole stars were absent, Arundhati, being ahead of Vashishta positionally, served as the second best point geometrically towards north from the cluster of 7 celestial Saptarishi stars near Earth's rotational axis. So she was like, now she's pulling the pole point, but pole point is absent, and now she's there and she's getting the designation of Rishi. And who is giving this? Vyasa is giving this. So when people say about the nimitta that was a bad omen, and for such a long time it was a bad omen. So nimitta word also means division of time. So you see 11,000 to 3,000 BC when for 4800 BC, when Arundhati is ahead of Vashishta. So she's given the designation also as Rishi, Rishinam Arundhati, and Vyas is saying this because a kind of nimitta, that is the division of time. So that becomes a division of time. So you need to understand the etymology of nimitta also. Nimittani, when it is said in Mahabharata. I won't take much of that context because many of them have discussed about it. I'm just trying to give the justice to Arundhati. What is said about her, that was a bad omen. Of course, that was a good omen for Pandavas. If you see, it was a bad omen. It may be a bad omen for uh, Duryodhana, but it was a good omen for Pandavas, and they won, and Krishna won the battle. So this is saying that bad omen or good omen or kind of a thing. This is just to create a psychology before the war, and this was a strategy used by Vyasa maybe. I will give you one example of Mehmed II, Osman's great grandson, fourth in lineage. He was fighting with the Roman king, last Roman king, for the Hagia Sophia. Uh, so there was a blood moon occurring, and Mehmet's stepmother came, who was a Russian, Slovak. She came and she said that Mehmet, you are going to win. And it was not a winning situation altogether for him, but she said that you will win because of this blood moon. So Mehmet, with vigor, started to fight with the Romans and with strategies in his mind. While the Romans had so much of capacity, they had this omen as a bad omen. So the royal astrologers said to the last Roman king that you are going to, uh, your birth has been taken as the last emperor, and after you there won't be anyone in Hagia Sophia. Romans won't be there. So that psychological impact, and the blood moon was attached to him also. Said when the blood moon appears, you will lose. So one is going to win and one is going to lose. The sky conditions cannot rule uh, uh, the whole situation. Like Brihadrath, who was continuously resisting Turvasus and Druyus, somehow they came in and became a same ideology of Vedic people. So even before the offshoot, they were Vedic people only. The Druyus, Anus, and Turvasus and Yadus, all were Vedic people. But there some ideologies went different, and that is why there was a resistance. And Ikshwakus wanted that they continued with that resistance. But somehow the ideologies changed. They also become more Vedic. They came in, they lived here, and this is how Mehmet II incidents also suggest us. So the omen thing is all of your psyche. The winning position always have the narratives. So we have to understand that sky conditions are observations. So when you observe something, you get attached. You need some kind of a story to get attached to that, so that that remains there. And that is why we say ना कि जैसे आपने कहा कि they are the places where all the sages and all the great kings live. तो वो इसी तरह से वो मेमोरीज में है, वो वहां पे ही है, उसी मेमोरीज में. So this is how I will conclude this.
Yeah, we'll have more series on these topics, and I saw the slides are 80, so we'll cover that in slowly in all the future presentations.
Future present
For viewers,
sometime.
if you have any questions, you can always go to the YouTube channel and
Have.
ask. You can have a conversation with us on Twitter, on YouTube comments, as well as on Facebook. These are also live on Facebook. We have more than 50,000 followers on our page. You can comment over there too. And if you have more questions, you can always uh, find out ways to approach Rupa Bhati directly. You can search her on
Gee,
the
I will
Google.
always be there to help, and even I will get some ideas if the new people always have great ideas. So I will also get some ideas about how
So
to
thank
look
you so much.
small.
I'll give your time
Thank
back,
you.
and I know all of you patiently watched this presentation. And thank you for
Thank you
such
so
a
much.
vibrant Rupaji for a vibrant presentation, and
Thank you so much.
very grateful. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you so much for giving me opportunity. Thank
Namaskar.
you.